The story of this interesting concept begins by depicting the time when 20 years had passed since the end of World War III. This World War had a significant impact on Earth's entire environment, as during the war, every country had used nuclear bombs. The radiation from these nuclear bombs had caused the ozone layer to deplete. These events became so dangerous that resources on Earth started to dwindle. A chaos for survival had erupted everywhere, with more than half the population affected by radiation, leading to diseases, and many people lost their lives. The air in the radiation-affected areas had also become polluted. For the remaining survivors, the struggle to survive had intensified. Whether vegetarian or non-vegetarian, everyone had started eating animals because resources were scarce, and this became their last resort for survival. The situation didn't end there, as many people had turned into cannibals, killing and eating humans. No place was safe, and dangerous groups began to loot and kill strangers. These horrific conditions had spread across the nations. In the midst of this chaos, we are shown a man named Eli in the middle of a forest. Despite the years passing, Eli had found a way to survive. He lay in the forest, seemingly lifeless, as if he had no life inside him. In reality, Eli was lying in wait, hoping for a prey to approach so he could hunt it. Suddenly, a small cat appears, notices Eli, and hisses at him. However, Eli was well prepared and quickly took out his bow and arrow, firing at the cat. The cat dies instantly, and Eli takes it, storing it to eat later. This was how Eli survived in the forest. Eli no longer trusted any human because, in this world, everyone had become self-centered and could even kill others for survival. Eli then took the dead cat and went straight to an abandoned apartment where he used to live. He thoroughly inspected the house to ensure no living person was there. But as soon as he opened a cupboard, a dead body fell out. However, seeing the dead body no longer affected Eli, as he had grown accustomed to it. For now, Eli removed all the clothes and shoes from the body and wore them. Afterward, he prepared his dinner and began eating, enjoying it without any complaints, as doing so was crucial for survival. Once he finished eating, Eli took out a book from his bag. The book was locked, but he opened it and closed his eyes, reading it as if it was highly spiritual and important to him. Eli also had a music player, which he played before falling asleep at night. After a few hours, when morning arrived, Eli noticed that the battery of his music player had run out. He realized he would need to find electricity soon to charge it. Eli got up and started heading west. He was in need of more resources to ensure he could survive for many more years. As he walked further, he noticed a lady who had dropped her trolley and was asking for help. As he moved closer, he suddenly heard someone shouting, "Whoever is hiding here, come out." Before long, a group of people appeared, who took everything from strangers and killed them. The leader of the group asked Eli how he knew about them. Eli replied, "I could smell the stench from your bodies, and I know you're trying to steal my stuff." As the leader approached Eli and tried to grab his belongings, Eli swiftly used his knife to cut off the leader's hand. After that, anyone from the group who attacked Eli was quickly and brutally taken down. What was shocking was that Eli had excellent fighting techniques, and he easily defeated and killed every member of the group. The lady with the trolley was now very scared upon witnessing what had happened. She said, "They told me to do this just to distract you." She then pleaded with Eli for help and begged him to let her go. Eli, however, did nothing and took a little bit of the supplies before leaving. This was the price she had to pay for wasting his time. Eli continued his journey and arrived at a city where many people lived. The city had been built in just a few years to provide a place where people could live in peace. As Eli entered, he saw many snipers and soldiers, which made it clear that the security in this area was extremely tight. A slight mistake could cost someone their life. Eli then headed straight to a tech shop and told the shopkeeper that the battery of his music player had died and he needed it charged. The shopkeeper took the music player, but in exchange, he demanded something from Eli. Eli handed him a lighter and some tissues, which made the shopkeeper quite happy. In this world, money no longer existed as currency. Instead, people exchanged items with each other as a form of transaction. The shopkeeper assured Eli that he would charge the music player within a few hours. Eli then asked the shopkeeper where he could get some drinking water. The shopkeeper pointed him toward a bar across the street, telling him that he could find everything he needed there. Eli walked into the bar and sat down. Meanwhile, we are introduced to a man named Carnage, who was the one responsible for building this entire city, essentially making him the leader. Soon, several group members approached Carnage and placed many books in front of him. As Carnage examined the books, he remarked that none of them contained the one he was searching for. He was looking for a particular book that held immense power. That's why he told the people of the city that anyone who found the book would receive a huge reward. However, one of the group members then took out a bottle of shampoo and gave it to Carnage. Carnage was extremely happy, as shampoo bottles were no longer being manufactured in the area. After World War III, all production had come to a halt, and items like shampoo and lighters were in high demand. Carnage, delighted by this gift, sent the group members to the bar and told them they could drink as much as they wanted. All the group members happily went inside the bar. At the same time, Eli entered the bar, asking for drinking water. To get it, Eli gave the bartender some of his clothes. While Eli was talking to the bartender, a cat came up to him. Eli started shooing the cat away, as it was causing a disturbance, and he would kill it if it continued. However, the cat belonged to the same group of people who had come to drink. One of the men saw Eli disturbing his cat and immediately walked up to him, asking, "How dare you?" Eli didn't want to cause any trouble, so he tried to leave. But then, more members of the group appeared, wanting to fight him. What they didn't realize was that after fighting Eli, they would be in a terrible condition. In no time, Eli began taking down the group members, one by one, breaking their bones. No one expected that a single person could take on so many. Carnage, who was watching the fight from above, was impressed by Eli's fighting style. He immediately sent many of his men to bring Eli to him. Eli was presented before Carnage, who was in a good mood. Carnage said to Eli, "Your fighting skills are truly impressive, and I want you to join my group and help me, so I can provide you with resources for food and drink," Carnage said. However, Eli clearly stated that he wasn't interested in all of that. He needed to head west and reach his destination as quickly as possible. But Carnage began to pressure Eli, insisting, "At least stay for one night so we can offer you our hospitality." It had already gotten quite late, so Eli finally agreed. He was given a room inside the bar, which wasn't great, but it was good enough for him to rest for the night. After a while, a woman named Cloudmail entered the room. She was Carnage's mistress, who was blind and crippled. Carnage had been abusing her terribly. Cloudmail had been sent to Eli for a certain purpose, and she deliberately approached him. However, Eli refused her advances. Cloudmail was furious, wondering why Eli was treating her this way. She then explained that if she returned to her father, he would severely punish her mother. Hearing this, Eli understood her situation and decided to let her stay in the room. Just then, Cloudmail noticed the book Eli had been keeping hidden. She became curious and wanted to read it, but Eli stopped her and hid it from her. Afterward, Eli planned to have dinner with Cloudmail, but before that, he took her hand and began praying. Cloudmail was completely shocked, as she had never seen anyone pray like that. After World War III, humans had stopped believing in God and praying, but Eli still had faith and prayed for divine guidance. These things were very shocking to Sora. The next morning, Sora returned to her mother, and Carnage was there as well, receiving a massage. While Sora and her mother were having breakfast, Sora began to pray in the same way Eli had taught her. When Carnage heard this, he was incredibly intrigued. He immediately asked his daughter, "Did you hear this prayer from that man? And if so, did that man have any kind of book?" Sora hesitated to answer, not wanting to reveal too much because Eli had likely wanted to keep those things secret. But, when Carnage began to torture Sora's mother, Sora had no choice but to reveal the truth. She told him that Eli had a book, and she mimicked the symbol Eli had made with his hand to describe it. Upon hearing this, Carnage realized that Eli must have the Bible, the very book he had been searching for years. Carnage immediately ordered his men to go and capture Eli. However, by the time they arrived, Eli had already left his room and was heading out of the city. As Eli was walking away from the city, he was confronted by Carnage, who had brought his entire team. Eli told Carnage, "Give me the Bible back. If you don't, I'll kill you and take it." Eli then asked Carnage, "What is it about this book that you want so badly?" Carnage reluctantly told the truth, "I want to use the Bible to control everyone. There are magical words inside it that I don't know, but I need them." After World War III, people stopped believing in God, and the Bible was completely burned. Now, it's considered a rare item. Carnage explained that when he started building the city, many people opposed him, and he didn't know how to convince them peacefully. He believed that the Bible held the power to control and bring peace to those who opposed him. Because of this, Carnage had to kill those people. He believed that if he had the Bible, there would be things written in it that would allow him to control and convince people. That's why Carnage was determined to take the Bible at any cost. When Eli learned about Carnage's evil intentions, he immediately refused to give him the Bible. Eli turned and began heading west, but Carnage, now furious, commanded his men to open fire on Eli. As the gunfire erupted, Eli quickly pulled out his own gun and shot down those who were attacking him. The fight became a fierce gun battle, with Eli's aim so accurate that he was taking down one enemy with each shot. In this way, he eliminated nearly all of Carnage's men and even shot Carnage in the leg. However, after firing so many bullets, Eli's gun was out of ammunition, leaving him without a weapon. At this point, Eli quietly started to move away from the scene, but one of Carnage's men, holding a gun, stood behind him and threatened to kill him. But this man played fairly, noticing that Eli was unarmed, and chose to let him go. Eli continued on his journey, heading toward his destination. However, Eli soon realized that Carnage's daughter, Sarah, was following him. She felt safe with him and wanted to travel with him. But Eli, who couldn't trust anyone, didn't want her to accompany him. Sarah then said, "My father created a spring nearby, and the path to it is something only I know. I can take you to a large water reservoir." Eli, appreciating her offer, agreed to have her accompany him. After hours of traveling, they eventually reached the spring. Eli drank the water from the spring and stored some for the journey ahead. But as they were preparing to leave, Eli locked Sora in the room and trapped her there. After completing his task, Eli didn't want Sora to accompany him any longer. He knew that Carnage had locked the door to prevent anyone from entering, as the water had become so precious after World War III due to the severe water shortage. Eli left the place alone, heading down the road. After a while, Sarah managed to escape from the room. She slowly made her way to the lady who had attacked Eli earlier. Sarah didn't know anything about the situation and, as she approached the lady, the gang members surrounded her. They started torturing her and were about to kill her. But just in time, Eli arrived. Using his bow and arrow, he drove away all the attackers. Anyone who tried to fight him was defeated in hand-to-hand combat. After eliminating all of them, Sora was finally safe. She immediately ran into Eli's arms, and it seemed as though she had developed feelings for him. Since it was already late, Eli took Sora to a small chamber where they would spend the night. Eli sat in the corner, reading his Bible, while Sora watched him. She was curious and asked, "What is it that you keep reading in that Bible? Tell me something from it that will touch my heart." Eli immediately put the Bible away and shared a piece of wisdom with her. He said, "God shows me the way, and no matter what happens, He will never leave me. My life, my death, all is in God's hands. If we continue walking the path He shows us, we will one day find salvation." Sarah was stunned by these words, completely taken aback. Because she had never heard such words before, and indeed, there was a certain magic in those words that made anyone who heard them feel convinced. Eli's message about trusting in God resonated deeply. Eli then began telling Sora about the past. Many years ago, when the ozone layer had completely deteriorated and dangerous radiation spread, people had to live underground. Although more than half of the population perished, the survivors who took refuge beneath the earth managed to survive. Eli was one of them, someone who had endured the radiation. But after many years, when they emerged from underground, Eli revealed that he had heard the voice of God, guiding him on the right path, which was why he was alive today. Eli shared that as he followed God's guidance, he had traveled west, where he felt there was a safe haven, a place where people could live without fear. He had been heading west for all these years, following the divine command. The next morning, Eli and Sora began their journey toward the west together. Sora was now a part of Eli's journey, which gave him some comfort. It was a good thing they left when they did, as Carnage, with his army, was hot on their trail. Eli and Sora traveled until they reached a house where an elderly couple lived. Initially, the old couple pointed a gun at them, thinking they were enemies. But Eli explained that they were just travelers passing through. After hearing this, the couple invited them inside and offered them water. Eli was grateful for their kindness, but after a short while, he realized the disturbing truth: the elderly couple were cannibals. This meant that the elderly couple invited travelers into their home, only to kill and eat them. Realizing this, Eli immediately grabbed Sora and, with a gun drawn, made his way out of the house. But just as he was about to leave, he saw that Carnage and his entire army had arrived. It was clear that escaping now wouldn't be easy. They quickly returned inside the house, where the elderly couple handed them several weapons for protection. Carnage and his men stood outside, demanding that Eli return the Bible, or he would kill everyone. Without hesitation, Eli threw the Bible box through a window towards Carnage's men. When one of Carnage's soldiers opened the box, it wasn't the Bible, there was a bomb inside. The bomb exploded, killing many of Carnage's men and destroying their weapons. However, the battle intensified as gunfire started on both sides, and the house was completely destroyed. Tragically, the elderly couple was killed in the crossfire. With no way to escape, Eli and Sora were forced to surrender. Carnage then took Sora away with him, and he also seized the Bible from Eli. Eli, now unarmed, could do nothing to stop him. Carnage was ecstatic, finally having obtained the Bible, and immediately shot Eli in the shoulder. Eli fell unconscious, saved only by the fact that the bullet didn't kill him. Meanwhile, Carnage and Sora left in a car, heading in the opposite direction. But Sora couldn't let Eli die. In a desperate act, she attacked the driver, causing the car to lose control and crash. She killed everyone inside the car, ensuring they wouldn't follow her. A short time later, Carnage, in another car, turned back to retrieve his daughter. But Sora cleverly stole a grenade, opened it, and threw it under the car. However, Carnage's driver managed to avoid the explosion and quickly drove away from the area. Sora then arrived at the spot where Eli had been shot, but Eli was nowhere to be found. Suddenly, she remembered that Eli had said he was heading west. Without wasting time, Sora took her car and immediately headed west. Fortunately, she encountered Eli on the road. She rushed to him, offered him water, and tended to his wounds. They both got into the car and continued their journey. Eli felt grateful that Sora was sticking with him through such a difficult time. After a while, Eli sensed that there was a river nearby. When they stopped the car to check, they indeed found a river. Eli and Sora boarded a boat and headed toward a nearby island. As they approached the island, a sniper tried to shoot them and demanded to know what they were doing there. Eli calmly explained, "I want to live here, and I have the Bible with me." Upon hearing this, the sniper immediately allowed them to come ashore. On the island, they met Dr. Ben, the leader of the survivors. Ben took them to a safe area where the survivors of World War III had gathered. This place was completely secure, and no gangsters were allowed to enter. Ben explained that the island had everything the survivors needed, but they still hadn't received the Bible. Eli, however, lied to them, as he didn't actually have the Bible. It was Carnage who had stolen it, and now he was attempting to open it. Carnage was persistently trying to open the Bible, which had been locked, and he realized that it wasn't going to be easy. Frustrated, he took the Bible to the man who worked with electronics, the same person who had charged Eli's music player battery. After several hours of hard work, the electrician finally managed to open the Bible. Carnage was overjoyed, but his excitement turned to confusion when he saw strange dots inside the Bible. The symbols didn't resemble any language he knew, they looked like Braille, a language used by blind people. Carnage was deeply disappointed, realizing that despite all his efforts, he had found nothing useful. This revelation made it clear that Eli was blind and had been navigating the world guided by his faith in God. During an interrogation by Dr. Ben, Eli explained that although he didn't physically have the Bible, he had memorized every word of it. Over the past 20 years, Eli had committed the Bible's verses to memory. It also became clear that Eli had been blind since childhood. When he read the Bible, he would close his eyes and focus solely on his internal feelings, trusting them as his guide. Eli had always followed God's direction, especially when he was told to head west, and his exceptional fighting skills were based on this unique ability. He never relied on sight, he fought purely based on sound, using his hearing to detect movements and react accordingly. Dr. Ben, after learning about Eli's incredible story, called in a renowned writer to document what Eli knew about the Bible. Eli was able to recite each word, and the writer worked on creating a new Bible, one that could guide people and bring hope. Meanwhile, Carnage, upon hearing these developments, called for his wife, Claudia, who was also blind. Carnage wanted Claudia to read the Bible for him, but when Claudia asked where her daughter, Sora, had gone, Carnage simply explained that Sora had run away with Eli, the stranger. This betrayal angered Claudia, and despite knowing the truth, she claimed that she had forgotten all the languages and didn't understand any of it, so she couldn't help Carnage. She told him, "Your reign is over. Your people are dead, and those who are left are against you." Carnage began to fear, as the situation was unfolding just as Claudia had said. In a fit of rage, he stormed out, only to find that his house had been overrun by people who were determined to kill him and be free of his control. Carnage had to face the consequences of his actions, and the crowd overwhelmed him, killing him in the end. Meanwhile, the writer, who had worked with Eli, completed the new Bible based on Eli's teachings. Eli was dressed in white, symbolizing peace. Over time, Eli's name became remembered by all. Eventually, Eli passed away, and Sora, now grown, gathered Eli's belongings and made her way back home. In her heart, the teachings Eli had given her remained, and she vowed to spread peace and unite people. And thus, the adventurous story comes to an end.